outside of my acceptable, shoot, can't remember what it's called, eye relief. And then I'm actually seeing the scope completely black. I might see a little bit of the illumination of the center dot, but it's gone. I have no side picture. I have to make sure my head is in the exact spot in order to have that side picture. If I'm back too far like this, well, now I'm getting a bunch of eyeshadow around the edges of the optic. I might be able to see the center. I might be able to engage, but it's very difficult than if I take the same point and I'm like, oh sweet, I can actually see it just fine. It doesn't matter as much. I can have the optic in a really weird place where I'm like, but if I take my scope, oh geez, it's a lot harder. So it requires you being in the exact spot every time. Another example of an optic that had some major issues, in my opinion, having used it, was the Loophole Devo. It's a very cool concept. Major props to Loophole for working on a new kind of optic, a new kind of system of getting magnification, but it required your head was in the exact spot in order to see the actual sight picture of that magnification. You couldn't be off to the side, you couldn't be back, you couldn't be up close. You had to be in that perfect spot to see it. So for this drill, we'll tack mag each gun. We're going to be shooting this VTAC barrier at 25 meters. I have a C-zone steel set up right here. And we're going to see how much faster I can shoot it with. We'll do, for this one, we'll do scope first, then red dot. How much faster I can shoot it with an aim point where I have more room for error for my overall sight picture. Where I can be chucked, I can be, close to the optic, far from the optic, sideways. I can actually be anywhere around the aim point and still get a sight picture versus the scope. So it's just gonna be one round per hole, and we will see what happens. Da, da, da. We'll start offset a little bit. 1 power, 25 meters, let's go, stand by. Got to get that perfect sight picture. And there, right there, perfect example. I got the scope in there and then it was, oh, I got to be in that perfect spot. Bang, got it. That was a total time of 1986. 9 shots. I don't think that was 9 hits. No, I had 1 miss. So now, aim point. See how much faster I can shoot it with this. Which should be quicker. Although it could just suck. And then, it's not a good test. But we'll see. Not running the magnifier yet. We'll get there. Stand by. It's a 1651. And there were a couple instances there where I didn't have the perfect sight picture of the dot being in the center of the glass, and that was fine. I didn't need a perfect side picture because my head can be off to the side So I'm going to put this red dot in the far left edge of my window. I'll put it on the bottom, put it on the top, and I can still hit it. And now if I take my loophole 1 to 6, try to do the same thing. So I'll put the dot all the way to the side. I can't see. There, that's a hit. Doesn't really work because the entire optic is just blacked out because of the eye box and the eyeshadow and all that good stuff. It's not called eyeshadow. You know what I'm talking about. So this is a good example of where I believe red dots are still destroying LPVOs because you have room for error in how you're getting that sight picture. Not to mention, I know companies love to sell these 193 scopes and they argue gas masks, where it does help, or night vision shooting, but the reality is you can't run, at least in my experience, an LPVO, even a high quality one, on 1 power with illumination through night vision as a passive aiming solution. You have way too much light loss coming through the tube. Clarity of the optic itself, combined with the quality of your tubes and the lighting conditions. Every time I've looked through a scope with nods on, with binos, so one nod is seeing, one tube is seeing the target with nothing, one tube is seeing through the optic, hoping to, align on the target. It's far too clouded. It's very hard to have the proper eye relief to even get a good sight picture and take accurate shots. But an aim point or an EOTech or a similar red dot that's parallax free, where it doesn't matter where my eye is in relation to the tube itself, as long as I can see a dot, I can hit stuff, is far superior than a scope like this. So that's one test right here. Now let's actually get into magnifier and switching magnification and actually get into that. So we're good on ammo. We're gonna step here to the side. We've got a piece of steel here at 100 meters. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna run magnification. This is a cool little drill that I love to do. It's the 3-3-3, 3 standing, 3 kneeling, 3 prone on this C-zone steel. How many minutes have we gone for now?
15.
Okay, we're good. This will be quick. And I'm only do this once, 3 rounds and 3 rounds. For this particular distance, a C-zone steel, I'm gonna run my scope on, well, that sucks whenever that happens. I'm gonna run my scope on 4 power, and then my other gun will get 3. To start this drill though, we're gonna start on 1 power. So basically I then realize, where's my timer? I then realize, oh, I need magnification. 3-3-3, no makeups, and we'll see what happens. Stand by. Nope. So 3 misses, 6 hits. The standing sucked. The optic was all over the place. 1757. So ditch him. Back to this gun. Dual tack mag. Make sure my dot is centered in the magnifier, or centered as can be. dim 1, 10. Let's go. 3, 3, 3. Nope, fired too quick. Off to the left. Oh, it sucked. All right. So that was the total time with a lot of misses in 1916. A little bit slower. The other thing I want to go over real quick regarding the magnifier setup, and this is a downside based on being out in the weather and being in some different situations just environmentally. The issue with running a magnified setup like this versus a scope is I am now adding 2 extra surfaces that can accumulate crap. And what I should have done, that's pretty clean. And this is clean because it's basically brand new. But when you start having rain and fog and mud and dirt and dust from it sitting in your armory, what happens is you start to get stuff accumulating on this guy right here, front and back, this guy, front and back. So then when you're running all of it together, you have 4 surfaces, 4 panes of glass with crap. And I've had major issues with setups like this where it's accumulated so much I can barely see the target. Whereas a scope, you've only got 2. So there's just half as much debris and crap to have to look through potentially. So that is a major advantage of these over a setup like this. It just means you have to do some gear maintenance and you should be good to go. So for this next test, here's what we're gonna do. And this is gonna, since this is a one take, you see all the failures, all the problems, because I'm not a perfect shooter. I'm not the best shooter. That's fine, especially since I'm not shooting as much as I used to. However, and I'm doing stuff like this where I have to like test all kinds of crazy crap. We'll do scoped gun here. We'll start with red dot this time. So over here, what we're gonna do is plate rack at 100 meters. Again, I'm gonna run the magnifier and the T2, and then I'm gonna run my scope over there on probably like 4 power, something like that. Standing, as many makeups as I want. 6 targets so that I gotta drop left to right, and we will see what happens. And trust me, we're getting to the juicy parts. We're not even there yet. Push, pull, make sure we're set. Here we go. 3 powered magnifier. I'm starting magnified. Stand by. Oh, no, 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 no. There we go. I saw the dust and was like, I hit it. No, I didn't. 1687. That's not too shabby at 100 meters standing with 12 shots, so 6 misses. Ugh. Now we'll see what we can do with this guy. I'm looking forward to this. Now watch me suck. It won't be the optic, it'll be me. Just watch. And I only get 1 shot at this too. We'll go 4X. Just because I have 8 power doesn't mean I'm gonna run 8 power. I like to be able to see the entire target area with my 1 sight picture, and also not have to take into account all the wobble and sway that's occurring with the optic and a higher magnification. So I'm just gonna run this on 4. So a little bit more than the magnifier, and we'll see what happens. I usually run 3 power at like 50 meters. So actually I could dial this to like 5. Yeah, we're around 5. I can see each side. 1687, time to beat. Stand by. $14.98. A little bit quicker, and again 12 shots. Some of that was just me not not firing my shots accurate enough, but it was a little quicker, so that's nice. At 100 meters, magnifier versus scope, you're not running into a whole lot of difference. Up close, I would argue shooting on the move, which we haven't done a whole lot of, the red dot is, in my opinion, at least superior. Shooting in unconventional positions where you may have some not perfect sight picture, positioning that will allow for perfect sight picture, red dot still wins. Night vision red dot still wins. But let's go a little, actually no, before we go a little further, here's what we're gonna do. We're actually gonna do an experiment now because I wanna show you guys, this is another cool little thing, how much faster a aim point or an EOTech with a magnifier can be at actually dialing your magnification. And you're gonna see some of that here in a little bit when you shoot something a little more interesting and extreme. But what we're gonna do right here, I'll grab this gun. We're good on ammo. Come here. We're gonna shoot steel, close steel, and far steel. But what we're gonna do is I'm going to only shoot this steel on 1 power. I'm gonna take that steel on whatever magnification I can get or what I'm happy with. So I'm gonna run my hand on this scope, whatever it lands on, 4X, 5X, 6X, I'll take a shot, dial back to 1, dial back. We're gonna do it for a total of 4 times. So I'll start, no magnification, magnify, no magnification, magnify, and I'm done. We'll see how much faster the aim point magnifier is swapping that, because it's either 1X, 3X, 1X, 3X with one movement, versus this, where I'm having to twist the entire setup and get back on it. Starting on 1 power. We'll start with the scope. Stand by. Alrighty, so not bad, and I ended up on 7 power. So with that sweep, I got all the way up to 7X. Let the reticle settle, take those shots. I'm at about 100 to that C zone, and then I'm at about 10 yards from this one. In a total time of 11:32. So not too bad. We'll see. Now we'll see how this setup runs. It's actually very possible.